He made his first million by 30. He still checks prices before ordering at restaurants. You'd assume that number would end financial anxiety forever. It didn't. Here's the strange part. The real answer isn't that he's bad with money or secretly broke behind the scenes. His brain simply moved the finish line the moment he crossed it, and it's been doing that quietly every single time ever since. Let that sit for a second. In 1971, the psychologists Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell introduced a concept that would later be called the hedonic treadmill. Their theory was simple but unsettling. Humans don't experience happiness in absolute terms. They experience it relative to a constantly shifting baseline, one that adjusts upward almost immediately after any improvement in circumstances. A raise feels incredible for a few weeks. Then it becomes the new normal, and the brain starts measuring satisfaction against that new, higher number instead of the old one. The treadmill keeps moving exactly as fast as you do, so the distance between you and enough never actually closes. That alone explains part of it. But there's a second force that makes the treadmill run even faster for wealthy people specifically. The economist Erzo Lutmer's research, the same study that showed people's happiness drops when their neighbors earn more, revealed something particularly cruel about wealth. As income rises, people's social circles tend to shift upward too. New neighborhoods, new social groups, new reference points. The person you're now comparing yourself to isn't the coworker from your old office anymore. It's the other person in your new circle who has slightly more than you. Lutmer's data showed that this recalibration happens almost automatically, without anyone consciously choosing to compare themselves to a wealthier crowd. The treadmill doesn't just move. The target moves further away at the same time. Have you ever noticed that success tends to introduce you to a whole new category of people who have more than you? There's a third mechanism, and it comes from Daniel Kahneman's work on reference points, the same framework that explains why lottery winners often feel trapped rather than free. Kahneman's research shows that once your brain adapts to a certain income level, anything below that level registers as loss, not simply as less gain. A rich person who suddenly earns 20% less doesn't experience it as still being comfortable. Their brain processes it as an actual loss, activating the same aversion response as someone genuinely running out of money. The number attached to comfortable and the number attached to broke both quietly rise together, keeping the emotional distance between them locked in place no matter how high the actual income climbs. This is why so many financially secure people describe real, physical anxiety about money that looks, from the outside, completely irrational. Then there's a fourth layer, maybe the most surprising one. The psychologist Michael Norton, along with Elizabeth Dunn, surveyed people across a wide range of wealth levels and found something counterintuitive. When asked how much money would make them truly financially secure, almost everyone, regardless of how much they currently had, named a figure roughly double their current net worth. Someone with 50,000 said 100,000. Someone with 5 million said 10 million. The target wasn't fixed. It scaled with whatever the person already possessed, as if security itself were defined not by an absolute number, but by a ratio that never resolves. Put these four forces together, and the treadmill becomes fully visible. Adaptation resets your baseline the moment you improve your circumstances. Rising social circles introduce new, wealthier comparison points automatically. Reference point shifts turn any drop below your new normal into a felt loss. And the target for enough scales proportionally with whatever you already have, so it always stays exactly out of reach. Why would the human brain be built to do something this self-defeating? Because for nearly all of human history, resources were never stable long enough for a fixed sense of enough to be useful. Food supplies fluctuated with seasons, weather, and luck. A brain that permanently settled into contentment at one resource level would have been dangerously unprepared the moment conditions changed. Constant, restless recalibration wasn't a flaw. It was insurance against complacency in an unpredictable environment, keeping humans motivated to keep gathering, keep preparing, keep watching the horizon for the next shortage. That ancient insurance policy never got an update for a world where some individuals now accumulate resources far beyond any conceivable shortage. The treadmill built for survival and scarcity keeps running at full speed, even inside a life that, by any historical standard, holds more security than nearly any human who has ever lived. So what actually helps people step off, even briefly? Researchers studying this pattern point to two specific interventions with real, replicated effects. The first comes from Norton and Dunn's broader body of work, which found that spending money on others, rather than accumulating more for yourself, produces a more durable boost in well-being than personal purchases, likely because it doesn't feed the same comparison and adaptation machinery. The second involves deliberately interrupting the upward drift of comparison groups, staying anchored to relationships and communities that existed before the wealth arrived, rather than letting the social circle rise automatically alongside the bank account. Neither of these stops the treadmill completely. Nothing does, but they slow it down, giving the feeling of enough, more room to actually catch up, even if only for a while. Next time you hear about a wealthy person who still seems anxious about money, resist the instinct to call it ingratitude. It's the same ancient machinery running in nearly everyone: adaptation, comparison, shifting reference points, an ever-doubling target, just operating at a scale most people never get to see up close. The treadmill was never about how much you have. It was built to make sure you never feel finished, no matter how far you run.